Whether we realize it or not, Homo sapiens, us, are just one species among more than a dozen humans in the genus Homo, which literally translates to man. Pinning down the exact origins of this genus is tricky, but current evidence suggests the first Homo species appeared roughly 2.8 million years ago. This estimate comes from the discovery of LD351, a heavily damaged adult left jawbone believed to potentially belong to the ancestor of Homo habilis or Homo rudolfensis. To date, it's the oldest confirmed specimen of our genus. Since these early humans emerged, there's been a general trend. Each new Homo species tends to be less primitive and more specialized, while simultaneously developing increasingly advanced tools and technology. But in 2015, a surprising discovery in South Africa challenged this idea. Despite being one of the most recent known human species, it displayed primitive traits usually associated with our earliest ancestors, not a modern relative. One of the many puzzles surrounding it is exactly what it was. Meet Homo naledi, sometimes called the Starman. All known H. naledi fossils come from a single location, the Rising Star Cave in South Africa, which inspired the nickname. This cave system is notoriously dangerous and took decades for researchers to fully explore. Right away, scientists faced a major question: how did these humans even get there? But the more pressing fact was the fossils themselves. The team recovered over 15 individuals of various ages and genders, exceptionally well preserved considering the circumstances. The original expedition yielded more than 1,500 bone fragments, giving researchers an excellent picture of what these humans looked like. Precise dating places H. naledi at roughly 335,000 to 236,000 years ago, meaning they lived around the same time as early Homo sapiens. Here's the strange part. Although we know their age and have many bones, we still can't pinpoint exactly where they belong on the human family tree. Their anatomy is a striking mix of traits, some resembling recent humans like Neanderthals and ourselves, others echoing far older ancestors. They were unusually small, averaging just 140 centimeters or 4.9 in height, with a slender builds and most weighing under 40 kilos, 90 kilos, about 35% smaller than the typical H. sapiens. This made them the second smallest known human species, after Homo floresiensis from Indonesia. Unlike the island-restricted H. floresiensis, whose small size was due to insular dwarfism, H. naledi lived on mainland Africa, making their diminutive stature particularly intriguing. But anthropologists were even more fascinated by their hands. The wrists and thumbs resemble ours and Neanderthals, built for precision grip, yet the other fingers are long and highly curved, traits associated with ancient tree-dwelling ancestors. In fact, these hands seem even better for climbing than those of early hominins like Australopithecus, who were considered excellent climbers. Their rib cage, shoulders, and pelvis also have archaic features, suggesting that while they were adept at walking upright, they spent a lot of time in trees, possibly for safety, given their small size. Interestingly, their legs and feet show clear adaptations for bipedal walking, with strong glutes, elongated tibiae, broad patellae, and robust fibulae. This indicates they could cover long distances on the ground in a manner very similar to modern humans, despite their otherwise arboreal adaptations. This combination of tree climbing and walking has puzzled researchers. Some suggest H. naledi was simply an evolutionary holdover, while others point to environmental factors. South Africa at the time was drier, with forests becoming patchy. H. naledi may have spent much of their time in one area, moving when resources dwindled. The cave itself may have served as a shelter or even a burial site, though no artifacts suggest long-term habitation. Their teeth are equally puzzling, small but with unusually thick enamel, contrary to the thinning trend seen in other Homo species. Their molars resemble those of much older humans, indicating durable teeth suited to gritty underground foods like raw tubers, while dental wear suggests they ate from the ground. The way their teeth developed was similar to modern humans, another clue that complicates their evolutionary placement. Even their brains defy expectations. With cranial volumes between 465-610 centima abathurti, roughly half the size of ours, they were tiny compared to their body size. One might assume this meant limited intelligence, but the structure was surprisingly advanced. Temporal and occipital lobes were well developed, post-orbital constriction reduced, and the frontal lobe modern-looking. This suggests potential for social behavior, language, and tool use, though no tools have been directly linked to them. Some indirect evidence hints they reached a level of cognitive sophistication similar to Middle Stone Age humans. The cave's inaccessibility also suggests exceptional climbing ability, raising speculation that they may have deliberately deposited their dead, a behavior considered complex and culturally significant. So who exactly were H. naledi? The truth is, we don't know. Current hypotheses include a lineage branching off early from contemporary humans, a species arising after hybridization with older hominins, or a sister group to either later humans or Homo erectus. Skull features suggest some affinities, but overall they remain enigmatic. Life for H. naledi was likely harsh and unforgiving. Fossil evidence shows individuals of all ages and both sexes in the cave, suggesting that death was a constant presence. Many specimens revealed signs of disease, malnutrition, or developmental stress. Their teeth, in particular, showed growth defects linked to difficult seasons, extreme winters and summers that made survival even harder. Cold weather would have been especially brutal for their smaller frames, which lost heat faster than those of larger-bodied humans. Even today, the region of South Africa where they lived is known for health problems tied to climate fluctuations, such as respiratory infections and diarrheal diseases in children. It's reasonable to think H. naledi faced similar challenges, if not worse. Predation was another constant risk. Large carnivores like lions, leopards, and hyenas shared the landscape, and the small size of H. naledi would have made them vulnerable prey. Interestingly, however, few predator fossils have been found near Rising Star Cave. Scientists believe this wasn't because H. naledi were fearsome hunters, but rather because the area was rugged and less appealing to large carnivores who hunted in richer environments elsewhere. Still, even without predators at every turn, survival was far from easy. Climate instability may have been the biggest threat. The rising star fossils show that the species existed for about 100,000 years, a relatively short span compared to other human lineages. It's possible that H. naledi couldn't adapt quickly enough to environmental changes or failed to migrate to more hospitable regions when conditions worsened. The cave itself, where all known remains have been found, adds another layer of mystery. Bodies accumulated there over long stretches of time, but why? If they were intentionally placed, it would represent one of the earliest examples of deliberate burial. a behavior we usually associate with larger-brained humans. If true, it proves that brain size does not always equal intelligence or cultural ability. On the other hand, if the bones ended up there by accident or natural traps, it paints a very different picture. The truth remains unresolved. In the end, Homo naledi challenges our assumptions about what it means to be human. They were small but fully upright walkers, skilled climbers, and perhaps even early cave explorers. Their brains were tiny but shaped in surprisingly modern ways, hinting at capabilities we might never have expected. They lived alongside our own ancestors, yet their mixture of primitive and advanced traits makes them seem like a species out of time. Though they vanished, leaving no known descendants, their discovery reshaped the story of human evolution. Instead of a simple march of progress, Homo naledi shows us that evolution is tangled, unpredictable, and full of surprises. Who they really were remains an open question, but their fossils remind us that humanity's story is richer and more complex than we ever imagined. So, at the end of the day, Homo naledi remains one of the greatest mysteries in our family tree. Were they an evolutionary leftover, a hybrid species, or something entirely unique? We don't have all the answers yet, but what we do know is that their existence forces us to rethink what it means to be human. They weren't just small-brained, tree-climbing oddities. They were survivors, innovators in their own right, and perhaps even the first to show signs of symbolic behavior, like burying their dead. Their story reminds us that evolution isn't a straight ladder. It's a tangled web full of detours and surprises. And somewhere in that web sits Homo naledi, a strange cousin who lived alongside our ancestors, yet still feels like they don't quite belong in their own time. If you enjoyed uncovering this hidden chapter of human history, don't forget to like this video to support the channel, drop a comment with your theory about who Homo naledi really was, and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries of our past. And hey, share this with a friend who loves history or science, because the more people know about discoveries like this, the more fascinating conversations we can all have. Until next time, stay curious, stay human, and I'll see you in the next one.